What's up, you guys? Today I want to bring you guys with me to my new journey, and the new journey is having an African Cichlid tank. Who's the owner of this Cichlid tank? That would be Mr. Lee. You guys met him in my fishing video. He is the owner of this tank. And Mr. Lee, tell me a little bit about this tank.
Well, we first had not a lot of cichlids. Actually, before we had Fontosa, and they weren't as lively and colorful. So then we switched up to African Cichlid. It first started off as just a few, and very small amount of them, and then they had babies, and so we grew into this army of tons of fish. We have some here, we have some in the back spawning.
This tank is he inspired me to go for it, and I've been trying not to have any pet, but they are doing really good job with the African Cichlid. You can see a lot of beautiful fish. I'll zoom in and let you guys see it. So I start from here, and they will support me with the starting fish. And so
okay, so the first one that probably is the most original is this gentleman here. That guy actually came from PetSmart in the back. My dad got him just like as an ugly fish, and he just thought that, oh, maybe this it will turn out great, and actually it's probably the most beautiful fish in the tank. It is my dad's favorite fish, so he takes care of him pretty well. The next type of fish we have is let me see here, these yellow fish here. These are actually the spawn of another fish that breeded. So this is probably the first one, and then the mom is actually in the back right there. If you can see the more orange colored one, that's most likely the mom. They crossbreed quite a bit here. And then probably my most favorite fish in the tank would be the hybrids. They're mixed between a lot of the peacocks and the orange sunburst. The one that really catches my attention is, where is he? Over here, on the far left. He is probably the most bulky one. There he is, my favorite. He is stunning. And yeah, we have quite a few selections. We've added a few fish here and there. We added a dolphin, blue dolphin. There were two, but the other one died for some reason. Not really sure why. And there are quite a bit of combinations in here. There are some that you can see that don't have much color. Either A, the other fish that are dominant kind of hides the fish's colors, or B, they're females. We have a lot of females in here, so makes a lot of babies. This is our second tank. It's kind of the medium tank before we put them into the larger tank. There are a few in here that are quite large in size, just because we try to put them in the bigger tank, but they don't get along well with the other fish, so we'll have to figure out what to do with that. Most of these fish don't have a lot of color, just because they're still adolescent, but once they become dominant in their own way, their colors will show.
So do you sell this fish?
So my dad sells these sometimes, and he has a pretty good deal on it. He sold quite a bit for a pretty good price, in my opinion. And as you can see, there are a few males in here that have really nice colors. So
what about this, Mr. Lee?
this tank is where everything starts. It's pretty dirty just because there's a lot of food and we do quite a bit of water change on it. But this is our first tank, like our breeding tank. So when the mom releases the eggs, we catch them and put it in a tumbler for a little bit, and then we put them onto these breeder, like a breeder holding tank on the side of the main tank. The main reason for this is to avoid the baby fish from getting caught in the filters, so it's a nice way to keep the babies from being mixed in with the bigger fish and getting caught in the filter. So it's a pretty cool design, and so we have quite a bit in there. We don't move them over until they're a little bit bigger, but these guys are really small, probably a month or two ago, and now they're pretty good size. So
I see some with colors.
oh yeah, so my dad actually did a lot of scavenging. He found some more unique colors. We have a lot of orange in our tank, so we're kind of wanting to add some more interesting colors in there. So there are some venustas, like a green and yellow, and then we have a very bright orange peacock in there. I actually can't find it. You might have seen it earlier, but yeah, the orange mom, she works really hard.
What about the food for the fish, Mr. Lee?
The food for the fish, so it comes in this container. It's the Omega-1 cichlid pellets. We found that this one brings out the color more in the fish earlier, so we've been starting to feed them this. It comes as like a pellet first, and then
Is that what it is?
yes, that's that there. And that's usually when they're a big enough size to eat it. But first, when they're younger, we grind them up in a mortar and pestle to make it kind of powdery. So we give them that good food, quality food from the beginning, and they grow up eating it as well. And their colors have.
So this is where you start to feed the baby.
The babies, yes.
And then when they get a little bigger, you feed them.
Yeah, we
with
feed
this.
them. We probably grind up less. It's probably grind up a little bit more than that, but smaller in size. But this food is pretty small, so.
That's great.
Yay.
So Mr. Lee, how do you keep your filtration for this tank?
So all these fish, they need a ton of filtration. At first, we had the two main marine land penguins in the back, and we realized that we're gonna have a lot more fish, so we have to tack on like another size filter on the side of it. It kind of looks a little tacky, but it's worked for us for a really long time, and these fish are happy. They have a lot of aeration, and that's number one key for any aquarium is to have really good filter. The more you spend on it, the better quality of the fish you'll have, because they're healthy. So.
How much of water flow that this fish need?
Oh, quite a bit, just because of the amount that's in there. I rather do more than less, just because you have less than if like a generator or something dies out or something like that, or one of the pumps go out, that the other filter can handle it, just until you get home or just see it. So, but it's awesome.
What's the pH that you keep for this tank?
We try to keep it around 7 to 8. These fish run a pretty high pH naturally, so we use a buffer. And we test the buffer every once in a while.
What is the buffer?
The buffer keeps the pH high, so that's what they normally are at when in natural habitat. So
is it a good idea to keep all this rocks in there?
Yes. Oh, sorry. Yes, the rocks. You can't really tell, but they are limestone rock. They help balance the pH. So, for example, when you change the water, it doesn't change the balance of the pH too much, but it keeps the pH balance within the water naturally. So it's really nice that you don't have to add too much pH sometimes. So, but yeah, most of them are limestone and some river rock. But yeah.
So it looks like you painted the background black.
It's more of a backdrop. It's kind of broken back net right now, but the background is black just because we feel like it brings out the color more, but we're thinking of changing it to a different color. Just not sure which one yet.
So how do you like the black sand?
The black sand is awesome. It really...
Would you recommend people to use black sand or white sand?
Probably black sand.
Gravel?
No, I don't like gravel personally, just because their poop actually just hides underneath the rock, and I don't know, if you don't do a water change, it doesn't really get rid of it.
How often do you change the water?
About once a week.
Once a week?
Once a week, yeah.
Cool.
We do about 3/4 of not 3/4, 1/4 of a water change.
1/4 of the water change, you guys.
Yeah. We don't
Once a
do too
week.
much.
And what kind of water do you replace the old water?
Oh, we just use regular tap water, but we use a dechlorinator, of course.
Okay.
And the buffer. So.
And what's the process to dechlorinate it?
You know, you just buy a dechlorinator and you
use
measure
to
it. It's about 5 teaspoon every 10 gallons.
use the what's that, neutralizer?
Yes, dechlorinator.
Dechlorinator.
You have to use that.
Okay.
You have to use that for sure.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That's plenty of information me to start with the tank, and we'll keep pressing on that, and we'll continue. Thank you, Mr. Lee.
You're welcome.
I'll take you to the tank setup, my new tank setup, and we'll go from there.